The most important work you'll ever do is not what you build. It's what you tear down. You think you're moving forward, but you're not. You're just accumulating. More tasks, more notifications, more goals, more half-read books on your nightstand. You're drowning in the promise of more, and you're calling it progress. But it feels like running in place, doesn't it? Every day you get busier, and every day you get further from whatever it was you were meant to do. The real tragedy isn't that you're failing. It's that you're succeeding at things that don't matter. You know the feeling. It's the first thing you feel when you wake up. Before your feet hit the floor, your hand reaches for the phone. It's a reflex. You open your email, your messages, your social feeds. And in that instant, your day is no longer yours. It's a list of demands from other people. A collection of anxieties, obligations, and distractions curated by algorithms. You're a museum curator for other people's priorities before you've even had a chance to ask yourself what you want. You get in the car. You drive to a job that pays the bills, a job you might have even chosen a decade ago, but it no longer feels like a choice. It feels like a current you're caught in. You sit in meetings where words are piled on top of words, but nothing gets decided. The goal is to fill the hour, to look busy, to add another slide to the deck. You go home and you're tired. Not the good kind of tired after a day of hard, meaningful work. It's a different kind of exhaustion. It's the exhaustion of 1,000 tiny paper cuts to your attention. You tell yourself you'll work on that project, that book, that business idea, that thing that whispers to you when it's quiet, but you don't. Instead, you turn on the television. You scroll. You consume. You numb the quiet ache of a day spent on the wrong things. And the worst part is the lie you tell yourself. The lie is, tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll start. Tomorrow I'll clean up my schedule. Tomorrow I'll say no. Tomorrow I'll be focused. But tomorrow becomes today, and the cycle repeats. The phone, the email, the meetings, the exhaustion, the numbing. It's a slow-motion drift. You're not crashing, you're just fading. And a part of you, the part that still remembers what it feels like to be on fire for an idea, is terrified that this drift is permanent. You are terrified that you will wake up at 65 having lived a busy, successful, and completely empty life. I know this feeling. I've lived it. Not in the same way you do, but the root is the same. When I came back to Apple in 1997, the company was dying. It was 90 days from bankruptcy. Everyone knows that. But the reason it was dying is what matters. It wasn't a lack of talent. It wasn't a lack of money, though we were bleeding it. It wasn't a lack of ideas. Apple was dying from a lack of focus. It was dying of more. I walked the halls of the company I had co-founded, and I didn't recognize it. It was a mess. There were dozens of different Macintosh models. Dozens. You couldn't even figure out which one to recommend to your friend. There were printers. There were scanners. There were peripherals I didn't even know we made. There was a project called the Apple Pippin, a video game console. It was chaos. Each product had a team. Each team had a manager. Each manager had a budget. Everyone was busy. Everyone was working hard, but they were working against each other. They were all paddling in different directions, and the ship was sinking. The feeling in the air was one of polite, competent despair. They were making things. They were shipping products. But they had lost the soul. They had forgotten why. They were in the business of adding things, adding another feature, adding another model, adding another product category to a spreadsheet. It was a company drowning in its own good ideas. And my first instinct, the one everyone expected, was to come in and add me idea, to announce the next big thing, to give them a new direction to paddle in. But that's not what I did. I spent weeks just walking and listening. I'd sit in product reviews and see these smart, passionate people defending products that were frankly garbage. They were defending their team, their budget, their identity. They were attached. And I felt this immense weight. It was the weight of 1,000 well-intentioned commitments. It was the weight of 1,000 yeses. And I realized the first thing I had to do was not to add something new. The first thing I had to do was to subtract, to get rid of the clutter so we could find the soul of the company again. The decision wasn't about what to do next. The only decision that mattered was what to stop doing, right now. That was the decision that changed everything. And it's the same decision that's sitting in front of you. So what's really going on here? Why are you stuck? Why was Apple stuck? It's not because you're lazy or undisciplined. It's because you've been taught the wrong equation for success. You've been taught that value is created through addition. More features, more clients, more skills on your resume, more check marks on your to-do list. We celebrate addition. We reward it. Your boss gives you a raise for taking on more responsibility, not for doing one thing exceptionally well. The real problem is that you're living in a fog of complexity. Your life, your desk, your computer, your mind, they're all cluttered. Imagine trying to build a beautiful wooden table in a workshop that's buried in junk. You can't even find the saw. You spend all your time moving piles of scrap metal and old paint cans just to clear a small space. You can't think. You can't focus. The tool you need most isn't a better hammer or a sharper chisel. The tool you need is a dumpster. The first act of creation is not addition. It is destruction. It is clearing the space. This clutter isn't just physical, it's mental, it's emotional. Every commitment you make that isn't aligned with your core purpose is another piece of junk in the workshop. Every yes you say out of guilt or fear of missing out is another paint you have to step over. You think you're being productive by juggling 10 projects, but you're not. You're just a professional junk mover. The noise of the many drowns out the signal of the few. And your real work, the work that could change you, the work that could change a small piece of the world, never gets started. It remains an idea, buried under the heap. We are afraid of the empty space. We are afraid of the silence. So we fill it with noise. We check our phones. We turn on the news. We say yes to another meeting. We mistake activity for achievement. We're like a bad product designer who keeps adding buttons to the remote control because they're afraid they missed something. The result is a device that is powerful but unusable. A life that is full but unlived. The problem isn't a lack of opportunity. The problem is a lack of courage to ignore almost all of it. The turning point for you, the one that will change everything, is when you stop seeing your life as a canvas to be filled. Start seeing it as a block of marble to be carved. Your masterpiece is not revealed by adding more clay. Your masterpiece is revealed by chipping away what is not essential. Greatness is subtraction. It's not about what you say yes to. It is defined by the thousands of things you say no to. This isn't just a philosophy for design. It is a philosophy for life. This is where the work begins. It's not about finding a magical productivity app or a new morning routine. It's about a fundamental shift in how you operate. It's about adopting a new set of principles. First, you must wage a war on the non-essential. The common mistake is to treat all your tasks and commitments as equals. You make a to-do list, and pick up dry cleaning has the same font size as draft business plan. You believe that being productive means clearing the list. But a cleared to-do list at the end of the day is often just a sign that you did a lot of easy, unimportant things. You're busy, but you're not moving the needle. You avoid the big, scary, important task because it's hard, and instead, you find comfort in the shallow work of answering emails and running errands. It feels like progress, but it's an illusion. The opposite view is this. Not all work is created equal. A few things matter infinitely more than all the others. Your job is not to do more things, but to do the right things. You must be ruthless in identifying what is truly essential and brutal in ignoring the rest. A no to the non-essential is a yes to what truly matters. When I came back to Apple, we had something like 350 products. I had the team work for weeks to distill our entire strategy down. I finally got fed up and I went to the whiteboard. I drew a simple 2x2 grid. On the top, I wrote Consumer and Pro. On the side, I wrote Desktop and Portable. I told the team, this is our new product line. We are going to make 4 great products, 1 for each quadrant, that's it. You could hear a pin drop. Then came the anger, the panic. We were talking about cutting over 90% of our products, killing projects that people had poured their lives into. It was war. But it wasn't a war on people. It was a war on complexity. By defining what we would do, we were, by definition, defining the 10,000 things we would not do. And in that clarity, we found our power again. So what does this mean for you today? Look at your life, your projects, your hobbies, your commitments. Draw your own 2x2 grid if you have to. What are the 2 or 3 things that, if you did them exceptionally well, would change everything? Not 10, not 5, 2 or 3. This is your Pro desktop. This is your consumer, your portable. Everything else is a candidate for the chopping block. Make a list of all your projects and commitments. Now take a red pen and cross off everything that is not one of those 2 or 3 things. It will hurt. It will feel like you're letting people down. But you're not. You're finally choosing to not let yourself down. Second, you must cultivate an allergy to mediocrity. The common mistake is to tolerate good enough. We live in a world that runs on it. The software that mostly works. The movie that was okay. The meal that was fine. We accept it because it's easy. Pushing for greatness is hard. It's uncomfortable. It requires conflict. It means telling someone you respect, this isn't good enough, we can do better. Most people avoid this at all costs. They'd rather ship a mediocre product on time than fight for a great one that's late. They want to be liked more than they want to be right. My view is that good enough is the enemy of great. It's a poison. Tolerating it in one area of your life allows it to seep into all the others. If you accept a mediocre design at work, you're more likely to accept a mediocre relationship at home. You have to develop a visceral, physical reaction to things that are almost right, but not quite. You have to care about the details that no one else sees. I remember when we were designing the first iPod. The engineering team had the prototype working. It was functional. But I was obsessed with the click, the sound and feel of navigating the menu. It had to be perfect. They would bring me new versions and I'd say, no, it's not right. The resistance is wrong. Or, the sound is too hollow. They thought I was insane. We spent weeks on the click. Weeks on a tiny detail. But that detail was everything. It was the physical connection to the device. It was the difference between a tool and a toy. It was the difference between something you use and something you love. We didn't stop until it was perfect. That allergy to good enough is what separates the memorable from the forgettable. For you, this means raising your personal standard. Stop accepting mediocrity from yourself. Look at the work you're doing right now, the report you're writing, the email you're about to send. Is it just good enough? Or is it the best you can possibly make it? Spend the extra hour. Rewrite that sentence. Adjust the kerning on that slide. Don't do it because your boss will notice. He probably won't. Do it for yourself. Do it because it trains your mind to reject mediocrity in all its forms. This isn't about perfectionism. Perfectionism is fear. This is about craftsmanship. Craftsmanship is love. Start with one thing. The next email you write, make it the clearest, most concise email you've ever written. That's how it begins. Third, learn to be alone. The most common mistake people make is believing that collaboration and connection are always good. They fill every spare minute with social interaction, podcasts, news, and noise. They are terrified of being alone with their own thoughts. The silence feels empty, so they rush to fill it. They believe that innovation comes from brainstorming sessions and groupthink. They schedule back-to-back meetings, thinking that talking about the work is the same as doing the work. My belief is that the most important insights do not come from a group. They come from an individual. They are born in silence. They are born on long walks with no destination. They are born in the middle of the night when the world is quiet. Collaboration is for refining ideas, not for creating them. You can't hear the signal if you're constantly surrounded by noise. You need to create space for your own mind to speak to you. I did some of my best thinking on walks. Just walking. No phone, no music. Just my feet on the pavement. People would see me and think I was doing nothing. But in those moments, my mind was connecting things. A piece of calligraphy I saw once, a new chip architecture I read about, a frustration I had with a user interface. These disparate pieces would connect in the silence. The idea for the Macintosh came from a visit to Xerox PARC. Yes, but the vision for what it should feel like, its personality, its soul, that came from quiet, solitary reflection on what a computer could be. It was a bicycle for the mind. That's not a line you come up with in a committee. What does this mean for your life? Schedule solitude. Put it in your calendar just like a meeting. 1-2 p.m. Walk. No phone. It will feel strange and unproductive at first. Your mind will race. You'll be tempted to check your email. Don't. Just walk, or sit, or stare out a window. Let your mind be bored. Boredom is the precursor to creativity. It's the soil from which new ideas sprout. You have to turn off the fire hose of incoming information long enough to hear the whisper of your own intuition. Your best ideas are already inside you, waiting for you to be quiet enough to hear them. And fourth, you must choose your tools with intention. Most people are slaves to their tools. Their phone buzzes and they jump. A new app promises to make them more productive, so they download it, spend a week learning it, and then abandon it. Their desktop is a chaotic mess of files and folders. Their tools, which are supposed to serve them, have become their masters. They are constantly reacting to their technology instead of using it deliberately. The tool has become the task. The opposite view is that a tool should be an extension of your mind and nothing more. It should be invisible. It should get out of the way so you can do the work. The best tools have a strong opinion. They are not for everyone. They are designed for a specific purpose, and they do it beautifully. Everything else is stripped away. When we designed the software for the iPhone, the debate was fierce. The engineers, coming from a world of desktop computers, wanted to bring all the complexity over. File systems, menus, windows. They wanted to give the user a million options. I said no. The user wants to make a phone call. They want to check their email. They want to listen to music. The screen is the tool. Each app should do one thing perfectly. There is no file system for the user to manage. There are no windows to resize. It just works. We took away the complexity so the user could focus on the task, not the tool. We made the technology disappear. This is how you must treat the tools in your own life. Look at your phone. How many apps are on your home screen? 20, 30. Each one is a tiny demand on your attention. Each notification is a small tear in your focus. Get rid of them. Move every app that isn't an essential daily tool off your home screen into a single folder. Turn off every single notification except for phone calls and messages from your most important people. Be the master of your technology, not its servant. The goal is not to have the most powerful setup. The goal is to have the simplest setup that allows you to do your best work. A craftsman has a few tools that he knows intimately. A handyman has a garage full of junk he barely knows how to use. Be a craftsman. Now, think about the path you're on. You have a choice. It's a quiet choice you make every morning when you wake up. If you ignore this, if you continue as you are, the future is predictable. The fog will get thicker. The clutter will grow. You'll keep accumulating more commitments, more digital noise, more shallow responsibilities. You'll get older. The quiet ache of regret will get a little louder each year. You'll look at the half-finished projects and tell yourself you just never had the time. But you and I both know that's a lie. You'll have spent your one life managing a cluttered inbox, succeeding at other people's priorities. You will have been busy, very busy, and that will be it. But there's another path. It starts today. It starts with one small act of subtraction. You decide to say no to that one committee. You delete the social media apps from your phone. You clear your desk, leaving only what you need for your most important project. The first few days are strange. The silence is loud. You feel the itch to be productive, to be busy. But you resist. And then something happens. In the quiet, in the empty space you've created, the signal gets stronger. The voice of your own intuition, the one that's been buried, starts to speak. You wake up and you don't reach for the phone. You think, you have an idea, you go to work and you focus on one important thing. You do it with a level of care and craftsmanship you haven't felt in years. It feels good. It feels real. The days feel longer, not because you have more time, but because you are living them deliberately. You are no longer drifting. You are steering. And you start to build something that matters to you. It might not change the world, but it will change yours. And that is more than enough. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need to quit your job. You don't need more motivation or more information. You need less. You need to make one decision. What will you subtract? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Look at the clutter of your life. The projects, the commitments, the apps, the meetings. Choose one thing, just one, and get rid of it. Kill the project, decline the meeting, delete the app. It's not an act of surrender. It's an act of power. It is the first chisel strike against the marble. Your life is a block of stone. Inside it is a sculpture. Your sculpture. The person you were meant to be, the work you were meant to do. But it's buried. It's buried under all the things you've added over the years. The things you thought you were supposed to want. The commitments you made to please others. The noise you let in to avoid the silence. Your job is not to add anything more to that block. Your job is to find your chisel and your hammer. Your job is to start chipping away everything that is not the sculpture. It will be dusty. It will be hard work. You will be tempted to stop. Don't. Stop collecting. Start carving. The silence that follows the question is the most important part. Don't rush to fill it. Don't look away. Sit with it. Let it ache. That question. What single thing will you subtract today? Isn't an invitation to brainstorm. It's a scalpel, and right now it's pressing against your skin. You can feel the cold, sharp potential of it. You hesitate. Of course you do. The excuses whisper and they sound so reasonable. They are the voice of polite, competent despair. I can't just drop that project, my boss is counting on me. I can't quit that committee. They'd be lost without me. I can't ignore those emails. People will think I'm unreliable. I can't miss that social event. It's important for networking. Each excuse is a perfectly sanded, beautifully polished brick in the wall of your own prison. You built it. You maintain it. You tell yourself its walls keep you safe, but all they do is block the sun. You have become a professional junk mover, spending your days rearranging the clutter in your cell, mistaking the activity for progress. But it feels like running in place, doesn't it? I know that silence. I know those excuses. I heard them in a boardroom in 1997. They were louder, more expensive, and backed by spreadsheets, but they were the same whispers of fear. When I stood in front of that whiteboard with its simple 4-quadrant grid, I wasn't just cutting products. I was waging a war on the comfortable, profitable, soul-crushing logic of more. The first principle of this war is the only one that makes all the others possible. Ruthlessly eliminate the non-essential. It sounds simple. It is the hardest thing you will ever do. People think the battle at Apple was about creating the iMac or the iPod. It wasn't. The decisive battle was a quiet, brutal, internal war fought in conference rooms over products you've never even heard of. It was a war against our own success, or what passed for it. Let me tell you about the performer. The name itself is a monument to mediocrity. It doesn't promise excellence, it just promises to perform, to function, to get the job done. By 1997, we were selling dozens of different performer models. The 6200, the 6300, the 6400. Each one a slightly different configuration of the same tired idea, sold through a different retailer with a different bundle of software. It was a consumer's nightmare and a developer's hell. It was a spreadsheet-driven strategy that created a fog of complexity so dense you couldn't find the company underneath it all. In a meeting, I asked a room full of smart, capable product managers to tell me which performer a friend should buy. They couldn't. They stammered. They looked at their shoes. They pulled out charts. They were curators of a museum of mediocrity. So I killed it. All of it. The entire performer line. The room went into shock. The whispers became shouts. We can't. That's 20% of our consumer sales. We'll lose shelf space at Sears. We'll alienate our partners. They were right. Their logic was flawless. In the short term, it was a terrible business decision. But they were asking the wrong question. The question isn't, how much will we lose if we cut this? The question is, what incredible thing will we be able to build tomorrow if we cut this today? The cost of a good enough product isn't the money you spend developing it. It's the insanely great product you don't develop because you're too busy, too distracted, too spread thin. The enemy of great isn't bad. The enemy of great is good. You have a performer line in your life. You have a dozen of them. That weekly meeting you have to attend that produces nothing but the need for another meeting. That social media feed you scroll, curating a life you're not actually living. That project you agreed to lead out of a vague sense of obligation, the one that drains your soul one email at a time. It performs, it functions, it fills the hours, and it is the single biggest obstacle to the work you were born to do. You must become a brutal curator of your own life. You must be willing to kill the performers. It will hurt. People will not understand. They will call you selfish. They will say you've changed. Good. Let them. This leads to the second principle, the reward for your brutality. Reject mediocrity and embrace craftsmanship. Subtraction isn't about emptiness. It's not a philosophy of negation. It is a philosophy of focus. You don't chisel away at a block of marble to have less marble. You do it to reveal the statue within. After we cleared the decks, after we killed the performers, the Newtons, the endless printers and peripherals, the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full. It was humming with potential. For the first time in years, the engineers, the designers, the true believers at Apple could take a breath. We had given them the most valuable resource in the universe, the absence of distraction. We could now pour all of that liberated energy, all that focus, all that passion into one thing. A new beginning. A computer that would say, Apple is back. That became the iMac. We obsessed over every detail, not just the processor speed or the memory. We obsessed over the feeling. We argued for weeks about the color of the translucent plastic. We wanted it to be playful, alluring. You should want to lick it. We put a handle on top. A computer with a handle. It was an outrageous, joyful, human statement. It said this machine wasn't a cold, beige box for an office. It was a part of your life. It had a personality. Then we took away the floppy disk drive. The outrage was 10 times what it was for the Performer. You can't do that, it's the standard. How will people move their files? They were, again, asking the wrong question. The floppy disk was the past. It was a bottleneck. It was a compromise. By removing it, we weren't just taking something away, we were making a statement about the future. A future of CDs and soon, the Internet. We were forcing the world forward. It was an act of subtraction that defined the product and declared its intent. That is craftsmanship. It is not just about what you put in, it is, more importantly, about what you have the courage to leave out. It is an uncompromising devotion to the essence of a thing. You don't have a product line, you have a life. That is your block of marble. What is your iMac? What is the one project, the one skill, the one relationship that, if you gave it your full, undivided, obsessive attention, would change everything? What is the statue waiting inside the stone? Is it writing a book, starting a company, learning to paint, becoming a truly present parent? You already know the answer. You've known it for years. It's the idea that whispers to you when you're driving, or in the shower, or in the quiet moments just before sleep. It's the thing you always say you'll do someday, when you have more time. That someday is a lie you tell yourself to avoid the terror and the glory of picking up the chisel. So let's stop talking in the abstract. Let's make this real. Right now. Conduct an audit. Not of your finances, but of your attention. Open your calendar for the last month. Grab a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle. On the left side, list every commitment, every recurring meeting, every project. On the right side, write one of 2 words next to each item. Essential or performer. Be honest, be brutal. Essential does not mean useful or nice or expected. Essential means, this is absolutely core to my purpose, my health, my family, or my craft. Everything else is a performer. Everything else is clutter. Everything else is a candidate for the bonfire. Look at your list. See how much of your life is dedicated to maintaining your own line of performers. See how the clutter has crowded out the space you need to build your iMac. This is the crossroads. It's not a hypothetical choice in a book. It's the list in your hand. It's the ache in your chest. It's the quiet realization that your life has become a museum of other people's priorities. You can fold the paper and put it away. You can go back to the polite, competent despair of rearranging the clutter. Millions do. They live and die in the gray twilight of good enough, haunted by the ghost of the masterpiece they never carved. Or you can make a choice. You can look at that list of performers, feel the fear, and cross one of them out. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. That is the first cut, the first chip of marble to fall. It will feel like a loss, but it is the birth of everything else. The silence is over. The choice is now.